So the last panel just set my talk up really well, so I'm very excited, and I think the questions that you guys asked are really relatable to what I'll be talking about. So I'm talking about searching for immersive content in augmented reality and virtual reality. So who am I? I'm the CEO and co-founder of SVRF. We're building the first search engine for virtual reality and augmented reality. I'm also a huge nerd, and I was the first person to travel around the world with Google Glass and document how people reacted to seeing and experiencing the first piece of consumer ocular technology. I also founded All Things VR, which is one of the first virtual reality newsletters. So let's talk about the future of content. This was discussed heavily in the last panel, but essentially the way that you should think about it was historically we've been confined to a rectangle. It's very unnatural to think about the ways in which we've interacted with our phones and on screens on TVs, and it's not the way that we interact with the real world. In the future of immersive content, there will be digital content that's assimilated into our real world the same way that we interact with the real world. And that's really inspiring and also sets us up for the future. So not only is that changing, but also the feeds are going away. I'm sure you've seen this with the announcements with Snapchat and Facebook. Very soon, almost every single platform will have augmented reality because last year, every single platform suddenly had stories, and Airbnb just launched their own story platform yesterday. So just the way in which that we're thinking about the future is through the camera. And contrary to popular opinion, immersive content does not need to be experienced in a headset. We're seeing lots and lots of people experience immersive content every single day. In fact, Snapchat just released their numbers. 70 million people interact with their lenses every single day and spend about 3 minutes utilizing lenses every single day. That's super powerful and showcases that this content doesn't necessarily need to be inside of a headset. Use this? Okay, apparently my mic, oh, this is so much better. Okay, cool. So, and everything that I'm talking about, eventually everything will become 3D. This photo actually is from a research study that Stanford did in 2008. So you can assume that this will be making its way into consumer devices pretty quickly. I know it's been 10 years, that's why I'm saying that it should happen already. So now that we've gone through what this content is, now let's get back to search. So search engines evolve out of every new content type. We've seen this time and time again. There's always ends up being a search engine or aggregator that ends up organizing this content for consumers, and that gives them an entry point into how do they find this content. We are doing this for immersive content. This is how we categorize the content. So we think about it in these 5 different ways, and we're just scratching the surface of what immersive content can be. Filters and lenses, for example, is not something that we originally started thinking about when we started the search engine, but it's become increasingly important to our index. So what do? We make all immersive content searchable, shareable, and accessible everywhere. This is really important, and now I'm going to explain to you how we do that. So we power immersive content today to places where people are already. And this is how our index works. So today we index from these different sites. What we do is when we index the content, we then compress the content. We run it through computer vision algorithms that get further data of what's inside the content. And then we have a proprietary algorithm that then goes through and rates the content 0 to 5. Anything that could be potentially good is then looked at by humans to do further analysis. And part of what we look for is how will this feel? How good is the content? Will it be lasting? Is it timely? Is it relevant? And so what we're focused on now is what we believe is that the future of the search will be powered through social media platforms. And so we're providing an API to social and creation platforms to allow search inside of their own platforms. Historically, the way that search engines have worked is that you have to go to a website in order to search for this content. But Giphy kind of paved the way and changed that. And they allowed for GIFs to be searched on through messaging platforms. And we believe immersive content through the camera and through headsets will be in a very similar place. So this is how our API works. I know when I say API, it can sound a little bit, strange, and people don't necessarily know what it is that we're talking about. But this is an example of what it could look like in a camera application. So increasingly, you'll start to see that people will turn themselves into digital characters, and digital characters need digital worlds. Before, you would think that you could only have yourself in a digital character in a virtual reality environment, but we're starting to see that shift happen in augmented reality as well. And all in all, immersive content is just a spectrum of reality distortion. Like this example is somebody is just using a lens and suddenly she's in Paris. So you must be wondering, okay, how is it that we make money? Or how is it that this entire industry can make money? Well, we think about monetization in 3 different categories. So there's sponsored lenses. This is where a brand, and when I say lens, it can also just be a world, or it can also be in a virtual environment. It's totally dependent on like how you want to think about it and how you want to distribute this content. But sponsored lenses, more or less, they can be with a brand. And so that's just something that they want to promote with their brand or their product, or something that allows consumers to interact with it. Promotional lenses, like the one in the middle. So this is just demoing what it could look like to step inside of a TV show, a game, and like really allow someone to experience what it would be like to be a part of their favorite game, TV show, etc. And sponsored objects are the things that we believe are going to be the most utilized, just because it's just the easiest to do. So in sponsored objects, in this example we have here, would be like Peeps sponsoring something inside of like an Easter basket world. But it could just be as simple as I'm on stage and suddenly Coke has like a dancing Coke can here. And so we believe, just because of that, then sponsored objects will be the #1 ways in which to monetize this content. And that's all that I have time for. Actually, I'm a minute over, so thank you for your time.